Infrastructure major Il&Fs has replaced the Ramalinga Raju family as promoters of crisis-hit Maytas Infrastructure and will pump in 55 crore rupees to revive the company. Corporate Affairs Minister Salman Khurshid said that Il&Fs, which is currently the largest shareholder in Maytas Infrastructure with around 37% control, has been permitted to appoint 4 directors, including the chairman.
In fact, Vivek, on the issue of the final chapter in the Raju scandal, Maytas Properties Corporate Affairs Minister Salman Khurshid told Cnbc TV 18 Siddharth Zarabi that the situation was trickier due to the ownership structure. Here's Salman Khurshid on what next for Maytas Properties.
It's different from the two that we have faced up till now, Satyam and Maytas Infrastructure. It's a family-owned company. There is an issue of people who've invested in purchase of residential property that was being built by Maytas Properties in Hyderabad. We are completely up to date on what is happening there. We've had a report from the government director, and we expect that the way we have seen reasonable solutions found for the two companies, the third company, smaller in that sense, will also come to a similar reasonable solution, and that will satisfy the concerns of those people who are involved.
Sir, is there a time frame that you can give us?
We are trying to work as fast as possible on everything. Now that the bigger ones are over, I'm sure this one also will be able to give you good news soon.
Well, that was the Corporate Affairs Minister on what happens next to Maytas Properties. To understand the implications of the changes at Maytas Infra, we've got with us 2 of the directors at the company, the government nominees who were brought in to revive Maytas Infrastructure and certainly seem to have done that, Anil Agarwal and Ved Jain. Mr. Agarwal, Mr. Jain, many thanks for joining us. Mr. Jain, let me start by asking you, sir, unlike Satyam, this was a case where the entire board had not been superseded by the government, that was not approved by the CLB. But take us through why the decision to actually go through this process at this point in time, given the fact that your CDR process had already been approved and, things seem to be turning around. The last time we had a conversation with you as far as the company was concerned. So why the timing and why you not the decision to go the Satyam way, which was the bidding process?
See, each company has a different structure. We were appointed director in the month of April 2009. And initial spade work we have done to restore the confidence, the credibility and the financial crunch which the company was facing by getting the corporate debt restructured. But you will appreciate that we are the government director, we are not the promoters. We have to work the way forward and we have to plan for the future growth of the company, and we have to look for the new orders, we have to look for the new investment, look for a person who can provide credibility in the longer terms. Having realized this, we have been working how this can be achieved. And I think in the last 2 months, we have been working on this, and we could reach a consensus amongst all. And with the help of the Il&Fs, the bankers, the lenders, and the stakeholders, we reached a consensus, and the existing promoters also agreed that if Il&Fs comes in, they have no issue. And that's why this strategic change was implemented.
Mr. Jain, very, very quickly, was there any other party that had actually put forward a proposal on taking over management control for Maytas Infra, or was Il&Fs the only one that put forward a proposal to take over, sir?
See, let us make a distinction by this question is coming, believing that Satyam there was an open offer. See, in Satyam there was no major shareholder when this episode happened, and that's why an open offer was the route available. In this case, there were existing shareholders. Il&Fs was holding 37% share, IFCI was holding 17% share, CCOM was holding 6% share, and the existing promoters, Raju family, were holding 23% share. So that was 85% shareholding were among the 4 major shareholders. We have no route other than reaching these shareholders, asking their consent first. And when we were talking on these issues, we were talking to the lenders also, the bankers, which had a large stake of 1,700 crore rupees by way of the loan and 1,100 crore rupees of the bank guarantees outstanding, which could have been invoked if the company could not have worked. So we have to bring a consensus among all these stakeholders, and all the stakeholders reached a conclusion, and they advised us that they will be interested in case Il&F comes forward and takes the responsibility. Then we had a discussion with Il&Fs, and they agreed, yes, they will be willing in case the government directors and the MCA agrees, and then we reached a consensus and we brought in Il&Fs on the board as promoters.
Let me get you in, Mr. Agarwal. This 37% Il&Fs stake, does this include the shares that have been pledged with Il&Fs, or is that over and above the 37%?
No, that's right. They already have the ownership of 14.5%, and 22.6% shares are in pledge. So I guess now that CLB has passed the order, they'll go through the process of converting these 22.6% in their own name. So with this, the total holding will come to 37%, and then they will go through the route of open offer for 20%.
And what is the rationale behind keeping the Raju family's stake intact till next year?
No, there is no rationale. This is under the lock-in period as per the IPO norms, as per the SEBI norms, that these 23% shares that they're holding, they cannot dispose of till the October of 2010.
Right. Mr. Jain, just a quick question on really what happens post this open offer, because as we saw in the case of Satyam, if the open offer is not successful, there was a mandatory second preferential allotment that actually took place to ensure 51%. Is that the case as far as Maytas Infra is concerned as well, sir?
I don't think that situation will be applicable. As I said earlier, we should not compare Maytas Infra with Satyam. As Mr. Agarwal explained, this Il&Fs is holding 14.5% in its own name and 22% something in its pledge. And on conversion, they will be holding 37%, and they will be the largest shareholder. In Satyam, when Tech Mahindra walked in, they were allotted 31% share because they were not holding earlier any share. So that's why the preferential allotment route was adopted, which will not be applicable in this case. I am of the view that in Il&Fs holding 37% and with 20% open offer, and if the shareholders come forward and deliver the share, Il&Fs will be the largest shareholder, my majority shareholder of 57%, and there should not be any requirement to go for a preferential allotment, etc. But if that happens, that will happen with the consent of the existing shareholder, because Section 81 requires the consent of the existing shareholder. If existing shareholder agrees for a preferential allotment, we have no issue. Let me clarify that the role of the government director is to bring the company back to the normalcy, which has been affected with the certain events which happened in the month of January. And that's why we four directors have been working to ensure that the company returns to the normalcy. Having brought the company to the normalcy, we have to look for the way forward. And in the way forward, we thought fit that we try to get existing stakeholders and who are willing to come forward and who have the maximum confidence of the other people. That's why the idea probably.
All right, Mr. Agarwal, a very quick question to you, sir, because, you know, you're talking about credibility, the lack of credibility, and also removing uncertainty as far as this company is concerned. On the basis of the evidence collected by the SFIO and the other regulatory bodies, what is the situation at this point in time, sir? Is there any prima facie evidence of any accounting fraud as far as Maytas Infra is concerned? Has there been any evidence suggesting that funds were actually siphoned from Maytas Infra to Satyam? What have you been able to pick up at this point, sir?
Well, first of all, we were not there to look into any financial frauds or anything. I think SFIO and the other agencies appointed by the government are doing their job. Largely what we have seen is that there is no diversion of funds from Satyam, first of all, to Maytas. And what we also found was that there is this 391.43 crores which have gone through certain companies to perhaps to Satyam. And for this, the legal process has been started for recovery of the money through this nominee companies of the Raju family from Satyam or wherever it has finally landed. So I think what we have seen is that there is no such diversion of funds which is taken from Maytas Infra to anywhere else, to any other Raju family, except for these funds which have perhaps finally landed in Satyam.
Mr. Agarwal, we heard the minister talking about Maytas properties. Can you give us some sense on what the situation there is like? There are lots of private equity fund money which is at stake there. We've heard that arbitration is already going on there for them to recover the money. What's your call on Maytas properties?
I think the best would be that Mr. Jain, my colleague, answers this because I am not on the board of Mayta Properties.
Sure. Mr. Jain, would you like to take that?
Yes, let me clarify, as explained by the minister, in the Mehta Properties, the entire stakeholding is with the Raju family. And Mehta Property has got a large estate with it. And the total outstanding to the banks are around 120 crore rupees. And there is an outstanding of rupees 600 crore rupees to this outside FII which have invested in this company. So there is no public stake except there are 600 families which have booked flats and the independent houses in the Mehta Hill County in Hyderabad, and they have given around 600 crore rupees for this project. That project is under construction, but due to financial crunch, that project has now stalled. We are working that how to generate additional funds. Though there are assets, but there is no money, liquidity which is available with the Mehta Properties. In the last month, I have tried my best to get to some institution and the banks to get the money. The way we are working, I think that maybe in the next 15 days or 1 month, we will be in a position to improve the liquidity of the Mehta Properties, and we will be able to address the issue of these people who have booked flats or the independent houses with Mehta Properties.
Mr. Jain, this 55 crore rupees infusion, do you think it's enough or a lot more will be needed over the next few months?
I can answer in a different way. See, once Il&Fs has agreed to come in as a promoter, and the 55 crore rupees they have agreed because of one of the conditions of the CDR was that a minimum 40 crore rupees should be brought in. So that is the fund flow statement which we have prepared that in 2009-10, this type of money will be required. In addition thereto, Il&Fs has also agreed to bring in the requisite investment which will be required for the BOT committed projects. So Maytas Infra has already committed around 250 crore rupees for the various BOT project which it's doing, and wherever the money is still to be paid, that money will be paid by Il&Fs. But let us look at it from a different perspective. As I said, Il&Fs is going to have 37% share and 20% by way of this public offer, which brings it to the 57%. If I consider the today market capitalization, the rate which is prevailing these days, this comes to around 350 crore rupees of investment by Il&Fs in the Maytas Infra. Having invested 350 crore rupees in Maytas Infra, there will be no second option with the Il&Fs but to come always forward whatever the funds are required for the Maytas Infra to carry on this project, to acquire new projects, and to improve the working of the company. So that's why we were not much concerned about the bringing in the finances, looking to the total investment which Il&Fs will be putting in it.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Jain, Mr. Agarwal, for joining us today on What's Hot. Appreciate your coming over on a day like this and clarifying to all our viewers. Thanks very much.